Hey, it's Amy Shaw here. What I want to talk about today in this video is Christians, and I want to dispel some maybe myths or misunderstandings about what a shaman is, or at least one expression of what a shaman is. Maybe personally, my expression of the shamanic archetype. The reason this is coming up on my radar is the Christians are out in full force. Ugh. And I just want to tell you guys, if you're a Christian and you're watching, first and foremost, I love you. I do not harbor even an ounce of ill will or resentment or anger or any of that. I wish nobody harm. I was a Christian myself. I've shared this before, a little bit of my testimony in previous videos, so I don't really want to keep rehashing it over and over and over again. But suffice it to say that I spent a very long time in the church, and whatever I do, I throw myself into it full force. I like to study, I like to learn, and so I have an entire library full of Bible study books, interlinears, commentaries, just all of it, concordances. So I was a very avid student of the Bible. I know it well. And I also know what I was taught from the pulpit, that talking head up at the front. And don't get me wrong, I have certain pastors that are still in my life that I love, that I have deep in my heart. But quite frankly, I've also been told some outright lies from the pulpit. So I learned really early on in my Christianity to kind of question everything and judge everything for myself, and don't take things at face value, to study and learn on my own. And I don't think that that's inconsistent with what I think any Christian should be. So anyway, all of that to say that I know the Bible very well, and I do believe that modern Christianity as a corporate religion, the things that they're teaching is not necessarily consistent with the things that Christ talked about as recorded in their own Bible. So it baffled me, even as a Christian, how we could be reading the same book and having two entirely different understandings, or there not being any understanding at all in some cases. I'm going to talk a little bit about a couple of those things today, and I maybe have in past videos, but specifically how it applies. The reason this is coming up on my radar, as I said, is it's like the Christians are coming out of the woodwork. There's a particular lady on YouTube that trolled my channel pretty hard about a year ago or so, especially my Mandela Effect videos. She seems to kind of lurk around the Mandela Effect community on YouTube. And I ran across her again the other day, trolling my friend's channel. And, she definitely has a very traditional and robotic view of Christianity and the dogma. The other reason it's coming up is that I got a text from one of my clients this morning at 4 o'clock in the morning. And this is somebody I've been working with for a long time. Normally I don't even have clients this long, but I'm kind of actually mentoring her. I kind of consider her more a student than a client. And so I got a 4 a.m. panic text from her, and normally I don't kiss and tell, but I want to read it to you because I think that it really demonstrates the damage that the Christians, that the dogma of Christianity can do in undermining people's faith, actually. So here's what she says to me, this 4 a.m. Panic text. She says, "I just read a whole bunch of stuff about spirit guides and them being demons. I think it's best to stay away from contacting spirits in general at this point, and I hope you will read up on this and do the same as well. They are liars, and they just want nothing but bad for people. I do not want anything to do with spirit or contacting spirits anymore, so I will not be needing you to work on me anymore. Thank you for everything, and I'm sorry to be so blunt. I truly care about you as a person, and I hope that you will see the light as well and search these evil beings that we call spirit guides. I hope to talk to you soon. Thank you for everything." So I think we kind of hashed it out a little bit. We had a little discourse back and forth, and if she decides that she's ready to go on her own, on her path, that, hey, more power to her. I harbor no ill feelings about that. As a matter of fact, that would be a joyous thing for me that I was able to walk her to this point, and that she's actually feeling confident enough to go out on her own. That's awesome. That means that I totally did my job. But it's curious because right away when I read that text, I thought, oh, I don't know what she's reading, but it sounds like she stumbled on some kind of Christian website, and she's getting her head wrapped around this idea that contacting spirits is evil, it's the devil work, and that it's demons, and this is how demons get in. So I just want to clarify this because I know I was a Christian. I understand the belief system. It's very, very fear-based. And I know that they don't, in their heart of hearts, intend to be doing what they're doing, but they really are sort of like puppets, like robots, sort of like regurgitating the same cycle of crap, and they're not even really stepping back to use their own brains and engage their own hearts to hear what they're saying. It's like they're just so indoctrinated. They're repeating it. So I want to take a moment to let's step back and really think about this. And this is how I responded to my client, as well, as sort of sharing with her my perspective on it. And it basically is this. We all pretty much know that as above, so below. Now, Christians will tell you, oh, that's an occult saying. And I don't even think that a lot of Christians really understand what it means. They just patently reject anything that they don't understand. And they just patently will assume everything's demonic if it doesn't fit into a very tight little box of their specific dogma and how they perceive the Bible. So, as above, so below, basically what that means is that what's happening in the lower astral realm, which is the spiritual realm sort of just above our realm, just slightly out of our consciousness, sort of the next level of expanded consciousness, what's happening there is reflected 100% here in our 3D reality that we're experiencing through our ego consciousness in these human bodies. So that's what that means, as above, so below. So what's going on there is manifesting here. So Christians think, well, if you open yourself up, they'll say if you open yourself up to the spirit world, whether that's through meditation or shamanic journeying or yoga or, any of these kinds of ways to alter your consciousness, that you're opening yourself up to demons, and that, as she said, we don't know these spirits are malevolent and they trick us, they lie to us. And I had to reassure her, okay, I'm a shaman, calm down, everything's okay. I can't discern between a demon and a deceased soul that sort of got stuck in the middle world. You don't think that I know the difference? Or between a helping guide and a trickster, you don't think that I know the difference? I'm a shaman. I wouldn't call myself a shaman if I didn't have the highest degree of discernment. And I'm not saying oh, I'm arrived and I'm going to stop learning. I'm still learning. I'll be learning the rest of my life. But to get to this point, to call myself a shaman, believe me, this is not easy work. It's not for the faint of heart. You have to have an enormous amount of courage and a lot of experience and a lot of discernment. And all of that has been forged through my fires and my processes over decades. I'm going to be 45 years old this year, which is still relatively young, but my shamanic initiation happened when I was a child, and I was initiated into darkness. So, I had to explain to my client, when I was a child, I had the sheets pulled up to my chin and was literally gripping them, and it was absolute terror. Those sheets were the only thing that I had that I felt protected me. And I was so terrified, and I won't even get into the reasons why, but I was so terrified that I would just pee the bed at night. I was too scared to even get up and go to the bathroom. So I spent half my nights at least, just laying there, tremoring with my sheets pulled as tight as I could. Absolute terror. That terror comes from being in the dark and not being able to see. So what a shaman is somebody that actually can see in the dark. I'm a seer, I can see, I'm a shaman. So basically what this is as above, so below. And these Christians, I mean, if you ask a Christian, have you ever experienced spiritual warfare? Have you ever experienced demonic attack? They're going to tell you, yes. Oh, yes, yes, yes. Okay, as above, so below. Do you think that that's not happening in the spiritual realm? Of course it's happening in the spiritual realm. So as a Christian, you're experiencing these things and you're telling your brothers and sisters, close your eyes, stay in the dark, which is essentially what they're doing. Stay in the dark, stay in the dark. Keeping your eyes closed does not protect you against demonic attack or demonic attachments, spiritual warfare. It does not protect you. So to me, it makes more sense to go in with your eyes wide open. Go into the spiritual realm and have your eyes open. That's what a shaman is. The shaman is the one that can go into the spiritual realm and discern these things and be able to bring back the information of what's happening, what's going on. And if there's spiritual battle taking place, to be able to set up appropriate protections and get better assessment and fine tune to understand why this is manifesting here in this 3D. So keeping my eyes closed and pretending like, oh, I can't go in the spiritual realm because there's demons there, and pretending like I'm not going to know the difference, it's foolishness. It's foolishness. It's that programming that they've been instilling in us for centuries, that we have to be afraid, that, and it's the way to keep us small. It's a way to keep us out of our knowing, out of knowing what our true inheritance is, out of knowing our true power, our true capabilities. Hey, listen, I am a believer of Jesus. Jesus is probably the one teacher out of many, 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 many teachers that has had the most profound effect on who I am today. And I'm not ashamed of that in any way. And I would like to think that I follow his teachings, not what the pastor up in the pulpit said his teachings were, not this particular denomination's interpretation, but my personal understanding and interaction and experience with Christ himself. That's what I follow. And the Christ that I know said that it was foolishness to look for heaven over here or look for it over there, because the kingdom of heaven is within you. So when Christians try to teach you that heaven is some place out there that we go, and if souls aren't there in the presence of God in heaven at any given moment, then everything else is hell and of the devil and the domain of the devil. That's foolishness. I don't know why they say that, because heaven is not out there. It's in here within us, okay? We create reality. Our perception is reality. Okay, and so we have heaven within us, and we take that with us when we go into our death state, our afterlife state. So it's not, we're not going to a distinct little corner that God set apart only for those people that, lived by the legalistic letter of the law of the Christian dogma, and everybody else gets pushed over here into some, spiritual hell. It's not really, trust me, I've been to the spiritual realm. It doesn't work exactly like that. So it's foolishness that they even teach that, okay? And another thing that Christ said is that to be his disciple, you have to follow him. He said, follow me. So let's take a minute and explore the places where Jesus walked. What did he do? Let's see. He dined with sinners. He touched lepers. He forgave prostitutes. He died with thieves. He healed people. He expelled demons out of people. He transfigured. He performed miracles, turned water to wine, created loaves of bread and fish, out of nothing. He fasted for 40 days and 40 nights in the desert with no water, no food. He went through temptations by Satan, and he passed all those tests. He walked on water. He said that if we had faith even as small as a mustard seed, the smallest seed on the earth, we could tell a mountain to move and it would move. Just stop and think about that for a moment. How little faith we must have then, because I've never met a single person in my life that can move a mountain. Literally move a mountain. I've certainly moved mountains figuratively within my soul, there's no doubt, but I'm saying literally moved a mountain. So, I mean, obviously, Jesus called Peter out onto the water with him as Jesus was walking out, and he told Peter, come. I don't think Jesus would tell Peter to come unless he had utmost confidence in knowing that Peter possessed the capability to do that. He didn't call him out so that he could see him drowned. He called him out because he knew what he was capable of, and he wanted Peter to also know and have that faith and believe in himself of what he was capable of. And so, is it possible that Jesus can call us out onto the water? Well, sure, and why can't we? Why can't we learn how to, achieve such mastery in our own lives over ourselves, metaphysically, over our spirit, over, all these aspects of ourselves that we're working on integrating and processing and alchemizing? Why can't we get to a point of learning to walk on water? The Buddhist monks, some of them, they're up there, in Tibet and up in the mountains, and, they don't have the stresses of life. They get to just sort of chillax and spend all day developing themselves, learning, and some of them make that their life goals, to learn how to walk on water. There's YouTube videos about it showing them, day after day after day after day, trying and trying and trying for decades and decades and decades and decades. And some of these monks, they get near 100 years old, and, they have mastered the ability to do some very, very amazing things. And people will look at that and say, oh, it's witchcraft, and that's the thing. That's the other thing, when I was talking with my client, I was telling her it's an interesting thing, because if we were to actually do all the things that Jesus said that we should be doing, healing people, raising people from the dead, that was another one. He raised Lazarus. The Bible said his body was rotting, that he was stinky. He'd been dead for 2 days, and Jesus raised him from the dead. If we were doing all these things as Jesus did, healing people, driving out demons, raising people from the dead, all of these things, what would people say in this day and age? What would the Christians say in this day and age? I guarantee it, I know what they would say. They would say, oh, that person has a demon. Especially if that person didn't profess to be a Christian. And they really would say, oh, yeah, no, that's definitely, that's of the power of the devil. Well, it's interesting, because that's the same exact thing the Pharisees did to Christ when he walked on this earth. And it's the same exact reason why they crucified him. So if you really look at that, how much has Christianity changed from what it was at its core when Christ walked the earth with his core disciples, and contrast that to the religious zealots of Christ's day, the Pharisees and the Sadducees? How is it any much different? It's really not. I think that the Christians are out sort of on a witch hunt, and anything that doesn't fit into that box, man, they're going to attack it. And quite honestly, I think it's foolishness. And I think it's a complete lack of understanding about what shamanism is, totally. It's really an unfortunate thing, that my client stumbled on this material online and allowed it to really spin her around, and do a little dance in her mind of confusion, and it didn't really bring her comfort. If you listen to the words of the text that she sent me, it's fear, so much fear. I mean, she has made so much progress, amazing progress. And, to be at that point and to be that filled with fear, it's disappointing. I felt sad for her. And then I felt sort of like angry, like, oh, you Christians, are you kidding me? Oh, it's really a shame. So anyways, if you're Christian and you're watching this, I'd really be curious. Let's have a really healthy discussion and debate, and let's try to understand one another, because what I want to really know is how you think closing your eyes and pretending like stuff's not happening in the spiritual realm, how does that protect you from spiritual warfare? And don't say something ridiculous to me like, oh, it's the blood of Christ that protects me, because you and I both know that only goes so far. I'm telling you, I was a full-fledged Bible-believing Christian on my knees, crying, begging God for help, and the demonic attacks were relentless. I nearly lost my life, and that's no joke. I'm serious. I really physically nearly lost my life. I looked into the eyes of a demon more than once. You know, my entire life I've been pursued relentlessly by them. And so I know and I understand them with a degree of discernment that only comes from the direct experience. So I know that no amount of professing the name of Christ, no amount of anointing my doors and windows with oil, no amount with, holy water, any of that. I know no amount of that even made a dent, because that is not really where the battle is going on. So I'd be curious to know what exactly it is that you think, that people are supposed to do. And when Jesus commanded his disciples to walk in his path, to do what he did, he asked them to go out, and they did. They were working on driving out demons, and they were working on healings without him, without his presence being there. How did they acquire those skills and that knowledge to be able to do that? It's more than just saying, the power of Christ, because there's a methodology, there's a mechanism, there's something occurs there. It's just not like a spontaneous miracle that just occurs through me. It doesn't work like that. I can work like that. I have seen that. It's extremely rare. So for all the rest of the people that don't get to be the Lazaruses and raised from the dead after 2 days of stinking, sometimes they have to go seek a shaman. For some of us, our expression of the shamanic archetype is to be able to engage in the spiritual realm and make assessment and assist with what's happening and understanding why it's manifesting in this person's life. So that's all it is. That's all it is. It's not witchcraft, and it's really silly to think that I would even call myself a shaman and have no ability to discern between the types of spirits and, the different realms and where I'm at and what I'm doing there and what my intention is. I'm not stupid. And, I kind of know the rules of the road. So anyways, I just wanted to address this, once again from a very specific paradigm of Christianity and clarify a little bit more what a shaman is. Basically just a seer. And that was one of the things that she said to me in her 4 a.m. text. She said, I hope that you will see the light. And when I wrote her back, I don't want to sound haughty or arrogant or prideful, but realistically, I am the light. I am the light. So there's no light to see. The light is within me, and I carry it down like Hecate brought her torches into the underworld. I carry the light into the dark places so that I can see what's going on. And I'm not the little girl in bed terrified anymore. I'm not afraid at all, actually. I'm really not. I've been doing this for too long, and I know my power. I know what I'm capable of. So I don't have any fear whatsoever. I know I'm completely protected, and this is the job that I'm supposed to do. So I'm okay with it. I don't feel like I need to read up on the spirits because I experienced them firsthand, and so, yeah, it was just an unfortunate moment of lacking faith from this client who came to me asking me for my shamanic assistance, ironically enough, with her spirit attachment. And so it's kind of interesting, that she's sort of, getting into the Christian dogma and allowing that to really, in my opinion, delay her progress. So anyway, thanks for watching as always, and I would love to hear your comments. I hope you guys have a great day.